The alarm sirens echoed across the Corvash military station. The sound filled every corridor. Red emergency lights flashed across the metal walls. Soldiers moved quickly through the halls. Orders were shouted. Cross communication channels. Medical scanners worked without rest. But the station was not under attack. No enemy fleet had fired a weapon. No. Explosions shook the station. Instead, something else had placed the entire garrison on edge. Inside the main medical base stood Dr. Mara Ellison. She was human. Her hands were steady, but her eyes showed exhaustion. She had been working for many hours without. Stopping in front of her stood a regeneration pod. Inside the pod lay a small child. The child was an alpha cub. Her name was Kelly. Her silver fur looked dull under the bright medical lights. Her small chest moved slowly as she breathed. Several medical lines connected to her. Body energy monitors floated above the pod. Each display showed serious injuries. 2 plasma wounds, heavy blood loss, a broken spine, crushed bones in one leg, a damaged lung. The injuries were terrible. Most children would not survive wounds like these, but the cub was still alive. Mara checked the medical scanner. Again. Her voice was calm. But the situation was critical. A voice came through the station intercom. It was Commander Thex. Dr. Ellison, report the condition of the patient. Mara looked at the small cub again. Then she answered, she is alive. Her condition is still critical, but she is stable for now. Silence followed the message then. Commander Thex spoke again. Doctor, you understand who this child is? Mara answered quietly. Yes, Commander. I know exactly who she is. The small cub in the pod was not just any alpha child. She was Kelly, the daughter of matriarch. Virexa, leader of the Alpha Dominion, one of the most powerful civilizations in the known galaxy. The Alpha were feared everywhere. They were born warriors. Their armies had conquered many star systems. Their war fleets were massive. Their soldiers never showed fear. But the most dangerous part of the Alpha Dominion was their rulers, the matriarchs. They protected their children with unstoppable fury. If an alpha child was harmed, the response was always brutal. Entire planets had been destroyed for less. If Kelly died on this station, the result would be disaster. The Corvash garrison would be erased. Every ship, every soldier, every life. Mara knew this. Every officer on the station knew this. Yet no one suggested abandoning the cub. No one even spoke about it, because hours earlier a patrol ship had discovered something terrible. The patrol had been traveling near the outer edge of the system. The region was known as pirate territory. It was a dangerous place where law rarely existed. While scanning the area, the patrol detected a weak signal. The signal came from a damaged escape pod. The pod drifted slowly through empty space. The hull showed heavy weapon damage. The life signal inside was fading. The patrol moved closer. When they opened the pod, they found the cub.ca. Eli was unconscious. Her small body was covered in burns and wounds. The patrol crew quickly understood the situation. The cub had been attacked. Someone had tried to kill her. The crew could have ignored the pod. They could have reported the discovery and continued their mission. But there was a human officer on the patrol ship, and humans had a habit. The galaxy did not fully understand. Humans did not leave children behind. Not their own children, not alien. Children, not even children of enemy species. If a child was in danger, humans would help, no matter the cost. So, the patrol changed course immediately. They rushed back to the Corvash garrison. Medical teams prepared the medbay, and Dr. Mara Ellison began her work. For hours, she fought to save the cub. Surgery, bone, repair, blood stabilization, lung treatment. Every step was dangerous. Every mistake could end the cub life. But Mara continued working. Slowly, the cub body responded to treatment. The worst injuries began to stabilize. But something unexpected happened outside the medical bay. Mara noticed movement in the hallway. She walked to the door and looked. Outside, dozens of soldiers sat along the corridor walls. They were silent. Their weapons rested beside them. Pilots, engineers, scouts, warriors. From many alien species, they filled the hallway. More soldiers arrived every hour. Soon the corridor outside, the medbay was full. Mara opened the door and stepped outside. She looked at the nearest soldier. It was Sergeant Krath. He was a massive Corvash, a warrior tall, armored covered in old battle scars. He had fought in many wars. Mara asked him a simple question. "Why are all of you sitting here?" Sergeant Krath looked down the hallway. Then he answered calmly, "The human protects the cub." He pointed toward the medbay. Then he continued, "So we protect the human." Mara did not know what to say. Word spread quickly across the station. More soldiers arrived. They did not speak. They simply sat and waited. They formed a living wall outside the medbay. Everyone knew something was coming, and they wanted to be ready. Several hours later, the station, Tom spoke, warning. Multiple ships entering the system, censored data confirmed the truth. An Alpha war fleet had arrived. 30 warships surrounded the station. Each ship was enormous. Each ship carried weapons, powerful enough to destroy cities. At the center of the fleet was the flagship, the ship of matriarch Varexa. A transmission. Request appeared. Priority level maximum. Mara accepted the call. The hologram formed in the center of the room. Matriarch Varexa appeared. She was enormous. Her silver mane framed her scarred face, her golden eyes burned with controlled anger. She spoke one word, human. Her voice was deep and powerful. "You hold my daughter." Mara stood calmly. She did not look away. She answered clearly, "Your daughter is alive. She is receiving medical treatment." The officers on the Alpha Bridge watched silently. Varexa studied Mara carefully. "I have been told your soldiers gather outside your medical chamber." Mara nodded. "Yes, they are waiting there." "Why?" Mara answered honestly. "Because she is a child." Varexa seemed confused. "Your species protects its young." Mara nodded. "Yes," Varexa continued. "But this cub is not your species," Mara answered softly. "That does not matter to humans." Another silence followed. Then the matriarch spoke again. "Prepare my daughter for immediate transport." Mara shook her head. "No." Shock spread across the Alpha Bridge. No one refused a matriarch. But Mara continued speaking. Moving her now could kill her. She needs at least 40 hours to recover Varexa. Eyes narrowed. "You would refuse my command." Mara spoke calmly. "I would refuse anyone if he keeps her alive." The two women stared at each other. Then the matriarch asked a quiet question. "You would risk war to protect my cub?" Mara answered immediately, "Yes, I would protect any child." For several seconds, no one spoke. Then something incredible happened. Matriarch Varexa slowly lowered her head. It was a sign of respect. The Alpha officers on the bridge were stunned. Then the matriarch spoke again. 40 hours, my fleet will protect this station until my daughter recovers. No, one will harm her while she remains under human protection." The transmission ended. Mara looked back at the regeneration pod. Inside the pod, the cub moved slightly. Her small paw pressed against the glass. Mara gently adjusted the medical blanket outside the medbay. Hundreds of soldiers remained in the hallway. They continued their silent guard, protecting a child who was not their own. And on that day, the galaxy learned an important truth. Humans were not the strongest species. Humans were not the fastest warriors. Humans were not the most advanced civilization. But when a child was in danger, humans would stand against the entire universe. And that made them something the galaxy would never forget. Protectors. Asterisk. Thanks for watching. If this story touched your heart, please support the channel. Like this video so more people can discover the story. Share it with friends who love powerful HFY stories. And tell us your thoughts in the comments. Your comments help the channel grow. They'll help us bring you more amazing stories. Subscribe to Neon Cub Tales for more incredible space stories, heroic humans, and unforgettable alien encounters. Join the Neon Cub Tales community. Never miss the next adventure. Your support means everything.